So in terms of determining significant figures after you've done some math, it's actually really simple. And most places, they're not going to kind of like be really strict on this, but I do get a lot of questions on this. So I like making a little short video on this. So the rules are for adding and subtracting, you're going to keep the smallest number of decimal places. So it's not about the sig figs, it's the smallest number of decimal places. And then in multiplication and division, that's where you have to count the sig figs for each number, and whatever the smallest number of sig figs are, that's how many your answer should have. So again, adding and subtracting, whichever has the smallest number of decimal places. So if it's only to like 0.1 or 0.001, then you're going to keep the smaller one of that. So you'll just keep the 0.1. Multiplication, division, you're keeping the smallest number of sig figs. So feel free to pause the video, try on your own, and then come back and review your answers. So in 5.0 grams and divided by 0.31 milliliters, so we're going to get like a density type problem here. We see that this is division, so we're going to count sig figs in each. So we got 2 sig figs in 5.0, and lo and behold, we've got 2 sig figs in milliliters. So our answer should have 2 sig figs. So when we do this math, you're going to end up with like 16.129. That is too precise for the values that we were given, and that would be units of grams per milliliter. So we only want to keep 2 sig figs in the answer. So this is where our rounding is going to come in. So 2 sig figs would be 1, 2, it's to 16. So we look at the neighbor to see how it's going to affect it. 5 and up, round up. 4 and down, round down. So this would be, the best answer here would be 16 grams per milliliter, because that just has 2 sig figs. That's the answer. Okay, 15.0 kilometers divided by 0.5 hours. So it's going to give us a speed, kilometers per hour. This has 1, 2, 3 sig figs on the left and just 1 sig fig on the right. So our answer has to have 1 sig fig. So if we do this calculation, 15 divided by 0.5, we're going to get 30.00000, right? So we're just going to write down 30 because this has 1 sig fig. You could also write it, and that would be like kilometers per hour. You could also write it in scientific notation if you're feeling fancy and spicy as 3 times 10 to the 1 kilometers per hour. Those are equivalent. Okay, now let's do some addition. 2 milliliters plus 15 milliliters. So in this one, we're keeping the smallest number of decimal places. So 15 milliliters has 0 decimal places, 2.0 milliliters has 1 decimal place. So we're keeping this to 0 decimals. So this is going to be 17, not 0.0, just 17 milliliters. And then finally, multiplication problem, 2 times 150 AMU. So maybe we're calculating a molar mass here. Because it's multiplication, we're figuring out the number of sig figs. We've got 4 sig figs in 150 and just 1 in 2. So our answer needs to have just 1 sig fig. So our answer here would just be 300 AMU. Or feeling spicy, you can write it in scientific notation as well.